Michael, we're at a time of the year now where people are either drying off their cows or already have the cows dried off. So they're getting the cow ready for the next calving season. And they may be deciding on what pre-calver mineral to use, and in some cases whether or not they should use a pre-calver mineral at all. What would you see the benefits for using a mineral supplementation during the dry period?
Several advantages of using a dry cow mineral. The dry cow period is not really a lull in the cow's annual production cycle. It's a great chance in the first instance to get cows to catch up, cows who've fallen behind during the lactation, who may not be in prime condition. And for those that are in prime condition, it still gives them to get to their optimal health in this dry cow period before they calve down again when they come under pressure, as we all know. Secondly, the dry cow period is a time when the udder gets a chance to renew itself, and with the pressure on cell counts and so forth, it's important to get your cow udder health at its maximum. And thirdly, the first egg that is ovulated after the cow comes back into production after calving, that egg is actually created 60 days from calving. So the first egg that she's going to release after calving is now being made. So to give a cow the best chance of postpartum fertility, we need to start acting now.
So she needs to be in the optimum status for mineral and vitamins prior to calving and during the dry period in order to have a successful breeding season thereafter. Is that right?
Correct. And then a lot of these minerals have to be fed well in advance. For example, selenium needs to be in the system for 6 weeks prior to when you need it. And minerals like iodine are not stored in the body, so they need to be daily replenished. So in order to maximise health, these need to be constantly fed.
Okay, so you've decided so, and the customer and the farmer has decided that they're going to feed a pre-calver mineral. And you mentioned iodine there, how important it is. And they've decided so that they're going to feed a good pre-calver mineral. What are the key components or key ingredients in a pre-calver mineral that you would look for? Iodine is obviously one of them.
Iodine, selenium, and then of course the calcium magnesium mix, which is certainly more important when you're close up to calving, 2 to 3 weeks out from calving.
And why is that? Is it because magnesium isn't stored for very long in the cow's body?
Correct. Magnesium needs to be constantly replenished like iodine. And the other thing too is magnesium is a much more complex mineral than we think. We just think of it in terms of grass tetany, but it has a big important role to play in calcium metabolism, which prevents milk fever, and also is important for many. It's a cofactor in many biochemical reactions in the cow. So it's actually a lot more important than we think.
So if somebody had a calving season last year and they had some difficulties, what difficulties would be as a result of not feeding enough magnesium, or what problems would be associated with not enough magnesium in the pre-calver mineral?
If you had problems with magnesium balance in your pre-calver, that also immediately affects calcium.
Okay.
And if you have a calcium imbalance, then you may get incidents of milk fever, but more importantly, you might have subclinical milk fever.
Okay.
Milk fever is the gateway disease. Every animal that gets milk fever or subclinical milk fever has a greater chance of having retained afterbirths, arthritis, E. coli mastitis, displaced abomasal problems, and each of these factors affects subsequent milk yield and reproductive performance.
So reduces the chances of going in calf.
Absolutely.
So when we talk to our customers, we tell them that it's good to have a magnesium level of 24%, 22% or 24% or 28%. Our top mineral would have 28% magnesium. So those are to try and overcome all those issues that you highlighted there. And another, I suppose we came across it there a little bit previous, iodine deficiency. We see a number of customers coming to us each year worried or concerned about iodine deficiency. How would somebody know if they had iodine deficiency at calving?
The classical tip of the iceberg presentation of iodine deficiency is sudden unexplained death in calves. Typically it would happen where you'd have a calf with a normal delivery and dying within 5-10 minutes of being born, with no apparent reason as to why that would happen.
And would there be a slow calving as well because of this? You
may get that, but typically it can happen in an uneventful calving. So the biggest difficulty we see is if it happens sporadically, it doesn't hit the farmer that this is something that's abnormal. if one is presented with 3 or 4 in a row in quick succession, that's possibly a good thing. And
Yes.
that it triggers the farmer into thinking there's something going on here.
And they need to move fast, and I know we'd always recommend that they get a calf tested to see what the issue was, but as we all know, 90% of the cows calving in Ireland are calving in a spring milking system, so they calve very, very fast. So by the time a test result may come back, there may be a lot of more calvings, a lot more issues after happening, so they need to resolve it quite fast.
Yes, notwithstanding that, the State Laboratory Service do provide a good service if you can get that calf to them in time,
Okay.
and they can do a test on the thyroid, which can give good results. However, as you say, if you're still waiting a week for results,
Yeah.
you can have a lot of cows calving in that time if it's peak. So we would advise going in with an immediate iodine supplementation for the ones on the point of calving, and then do supplementation obviously on everything that's going to be calving. And also we would say supplement those who have calved, because iodine, as I say, doesn't store. It has to be replenished every day, and it's very important for subsequent fertility.
And so just as you say that, then there's a lot of farmers in the lucky position that when the cow is calved, they're lucky enough to get them out to grass pretty soon afterwards, so they go to fresh forage diet rather than a preserved forage diet. So the mineral status of grass is a little bit higher than preserved forage, and they'll be on dairy concentrates as well. So they straight away think that there's no need of mineral after calving, no need of supplementation. Is that correct, or is it a case-by-case basis?
I think it's a case-by-case basis, and it depends on the severity of the iodine deficiency.
Okay.
If you've lost a few calves, in those circumstances you're going to be more cautious,
Okay.
and you may supplement, certainly until the cows are on to maybe the second rotation when the grass has got to a
And
more established stage.
Is iodine the only one that maybe to carry on supplementing after calving, or would it again be case by case depending on deficiencies?
It depends on the grass quality, it depends on the ration quality. All modern rations are fairly well balanced and should be, and probably are.
There's something that a lot of people may not be aware of, is due to regulations, the amount of iodine that manufacturers of mineral supplementation are permitted to include has been decreasing over the last number of years. So somebody may have thought that there was more iodine inside in their pre-calver mineral, and there may actually be less. And the other thing that people may not be aware of is iodine is a very unstable element, as it's a halogen, so it volatilizes very easily. And unless it's a protected iodine that someone is using in their pre-calver mineral, when they're actually spreading it on top of their silage twice a day, as we recommend for their cows, it's actually volatilizing while they're doing that. And how someone would know this is it smells like the seaside. The iodine is actually volatilizing off into the atmosphere. So unless somebody is using Iodex, a protected source of iodine, they may not be getting as much iodine into the cows as they think, and that could be a contributing factor to iodine deficiency.
Yes, even though we talk about iodine supplementation post-calving in problem herds, the pre-calving supplementation is where you get the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay.
Obviously, in not losing calves. And it may also, you may have a situation where you might have some slower calvings due to iodine deficiency, but the primary presentation is dead calves for no apparent reason.
Okay.
Dead on arrival or dead shortly after arrival.
Okay. And a strategy we see more and more of in the last number of years, and it's definitely going to grow, is selective dry cow therapy. So obviously everyone knows this is where the cow at drying off doesn't get an antibiotic, they just get a sealer only. Hygiene is of the utmost importance. Is there anything that the farmer must think of differently in terms of the mineral supplementation for a cow or a herd that's on selective dry cow therapy than a herd that's not?
You could argue that if he's using selective dry cow therapy, he has to have everything else definitely right. He has no fallback position. I would say that it equally applies to both herds, because you need to give your cows every possible chance to have the best immune system possible.
So in the case of selective dry cow therapy, where a sealer is only used, there is no antibiotics, there's no fallback. If an infection gets in there, there's only one thing going to fight it, and that's the immune system.
Absolutely.
So it has to be at the optimum status.